podcast 844. Locked in.
And welcome everyone to the MyMac.com podcast. I'm going right through you, Gaz. Right through you. Now, Gaz, everyone seems very upset with Apple for how hard it is to switch between iOS and Android if you decided to leave the platform. And what we're going to talk about later is it really that hard, and what are some of the costs involved? So that's going to be the center subject or topic for today.
Well, it nearly wasn't, though, wasn't it?
What wasn't? The topic?
No, the topic nearly wasn't what you've just said.
What?
Well, we had a problem, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. Okay. You see,
I brought it in a bit earlier than you anticipated, didn't I?
And the thing is, we actually talked about that we were going to talk about this just before we started, and then you like segued right into it, and I was like, "What?
I'm good at segues. Leave me to the segues, guy."
And I apparently am very confused with remembering the things that we said we were going to do just minutes ago. Oh my, yeah. We went before we got started on the show today. Both Gaz and I had put in like a copious amount. Copious. So many. I mean, so many notes.
You had basically emptied the wheelbarrow into the middle section.
And something else we were sort of talking about. What I really should do at the end of this show today is like rearrange what we're going to talk about in the middle section and submit that as an article over at MyMac.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, that's a very good idea. And by the way, it's the second section, not the middle section.
Oh, that's true. We don't have a middle section anymore.
Well, I
guess it depends.
I do. And a lot of people over the shutdown, it's been getting bigger and bigger, of course. But, that's another thing.
Yeah. Well, you're the one that's walking all over the place.
Well, yeah.
Biking. If that was actually true, if you weren't doing all that walking, you'd probably weigh about 75 stone at this point.
What, 300 pounds, something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got no idea.
I'm trying to educate the American audience to some of the Britishisms. Is that even a word? The UKisms?
Well, 75 stone would be quite a lot, though.
Yeah. Because it's roughly, isn't it about 7 pounds per stone?
It's 14 pounds a stone.
Oh, okay. Well, then 75. Yeah, 75 pounds, you'd be dead.
So, yeah.
Your dear lady wife would come in and go, my 75 pound.
I did. We're talking all these imperial measures, but I actually use kilos.
Well, let's see. That would be about 300 plus kilos.
Can we get back to the segue?
We could. We first had to go on this little trip.
Yes, we do. We always
welcome to the MyMac.com podcast.
Welcome to the MyMac.com.
That's right.
Trippy podcast.
Yeah, it should just be the MyMac Segway podcast because that's all we seem to do sometimes. Yeah, so we put in
one of them.
we've always blah blah blah. We put in all these notes, and we were literally.
You wouldn't believe it when you listen to the show, but we do.
I know.
We do.
Yeah. Gaz and I, believe it or not, work really, really hard to give you this show. And I know it might not sound like it.
No, yeah.
There was a lot of time and effort put in to make this show what it is.
Yeah. Now, what it is down to you guys, but a lot of effort is put in. Yeah.
And the thing you have to remember, Gaz, is imagine what this show would be like if we didn't put the effort in.
So much better.
It would just be like we would just be wandering around the room, and you could hear the sound of us just like bumping into walls for an hour and a half.
Anyway, pages.
Oh, is that what we were talking about? Anyway, segueing back into what we were actually going to talk about. So we put in all these notes. Gaz had put in all of his snippets. I'd put in a lot of information about the center section. We'd both done our, stuff we did this week and all the rest of that. And then we go to look at it, and I looked and it was like, wait a second. Hold on a moment there. All of the stuff that I just put in this center section, which was a lot, was gone. And Gaz started like, well, let me go and check versions. Then also he's like, wait a second. All of my snippets are gone. Wait, the stuff I did this week is gone. And we have left other writing online utilities over much less than this.
Yeah,
you remember what was the one? It was like Pirate Write or something like that. We tried so very many different online writing collaboration things. Because the thing is, it can't just be Gaz's document or my document. It has to be our document,
shareable,
so that when there's stuff that we want to put in it, he doesn't have to put it in and then send it to me to update, and I don't have to send it to him. And that's just a pain in the ass. So to have it online is something that we have to have for the show, but it was all gone. And Gaz introduced me. This isn't a Gaz's tip. And wait, hold on. Let's see here.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Not Gaz's tip. Not Gaz's tip. Not Gaz's tip.
It's time for
not Gaz's tip. So what he introduced me to, and I wasn't even aware this was in Pages because I've never had a reason to look for it before, is revisions. There are revisions in the file menu that you can bring up, and it kind of looks like Time Machine in a way. Yeah. Actually, it looks exactly like Time Machine.
Yeah.
And it'll show you, based on when you made various edits, what that document looked like before. And that allowed us to go very, very quickly to the last one that had been created just before whatever happened. We don't really know. And then we were able to get back all the stuff that we had.
What was funny, folks, was that Guy was in a bit of a flat panic.
I was.
Because he was getting all that stuff. Oh, my God, where am I going? I haven't got it. And I was quite calmly I was calm for two reasons, I think, folks. Two reasons. The first reason was I knew there must be a versions. I didn't know there was a versions because I hadn't used it before, but I kind of thought, yeah, there's a versions. It's Apple. It's in the cloud. It's Pages. It seems to work. And I found it. So that was fine.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get to those versions. Now, it may be that because I'm not an owner, and it may be that Guy was the owner and he had to go back in. But the second reason I wasn't panicking was, well, it was down to Guy, and he'd have to do it all on the hoof because I put all of my notes into Pages because I do it in a different document and then just copy it across. Because as we've said before, we don't want Guy seeing my snippets too early in advance. So I do it in a different document anyway. So I wasn't panicking for me. I was kind of panicking for Guy a little bit. But
I was definitely. And anyway, what was the third reason that we talked about that you weren't panicking?
There wasn't a third reason, Guy. You're making it up.
I am not making it up. Well, I am sort of, because I said it then too. But that you just didn't care. Guy stuff.
We could talk 2 hours and with no notes. That would be fine.
Well, I mean, hell, we haven't even gotten out of the intro yet.
Guy.
Yeah, God, yeah.
What's been going on with you this week?
Okay, well, thank you for that segue. Now, I joked about it last week, Gaz, but the iMac that sat in transformation hell was finally placed on Tracy's desk last week.
Purgatory. It was.
Yes, transformation purgatory. Is it purgatory or purgatory? No, I'm not going down that rat hole. No.
It's not a rat hole.
No, it would have been. You know me. But it's up and running with very few problems. She made the transition to Big Sur with very little pain. But most of what she does on computers is related to online services, which makes her reluctance to use something like iCloud very odd. The other thing that happened last week, and I've been waiting a while on getting this, I got a second DBX286S, which is a microphone preamp processor, and I've incorporated that into my setup for my second main microphone. Now, how weird does that sound?
That sounds just particularly weird.
Well, I've got the first one that I bought is permanently connected to the Heil PR40, which I am not using this week and haven't used in a couple of weeks. Because I don't want to screw with that setup. I really like that setup.
These microphone. Sessions with me are like therapy.
Yeah.
I think you need to see somebody else about another problem you've got.
What problem is that, Gaz?
Your sound obsession therapy needs to be sorted.
Maybe. And the worst part is I don't sound that great. I can't figure out what it is I'm doing wrong. But anyway. I keep trying. I figure you throw enough money at it and eventually it'll work. The other thing I did, I don't know how much you remember, but I have 2 pieces of Behringer equipment.
To forget every week.
Yeah. I've got a Behringer preamp and I've got a Behringer compressor that used to be like my main setup. So what I've done was that's kind of gone into second Bananaville, and it's connected up through the Yamaha mixer that I have. So if there's microphones that I just want to try without messing with my 2 main microphones, which just sounds so weird, I can just connect it up all through there. And of course, all 4 of these potential microphones go through my Behringer USB audio interface.
Crazy.
Now,
Crazy.
I've obviously talked way more than I need to about sound. However,
what mic is Guy using today?
So you're so good. You're so good at this. The microphone I'm using this week is the Zoom ZDM-1, which is a broadcast dynamic mic. The mics I've used for the last couple of weeks have been condensers, and we're not going to get into the difference between those two because then we'd be here all evening. It doesn't require phantom power like condensers do, but you still need an audio interface as compared to like Gaz's mic, which is the Rode Podcatcher, which is a USB microphone. So instead of going through all of the hell that I go through, he basically takes a USB cable, plugs it into the microphone, plugs the other side into his computer and says, done. And sounds great. So one of us is doing something wrong.
Can't think who.
Yeah, we'll leave it to society to make that decision. So
yes.
Send us who you think is doing this wrong, even though we all sort of know the answer.
Well, you might get a different answer to what you're expecting.
Well, yeah, I might, but I won't necessarily agree with them either.
Probably not.
So what have you got going on, Gaz?
Well, this week I did another bike ride, but this one was 41 miles plus long.
All right. You know, you're making me feel bad here, Gaz.
I'm sorry, but these
I go up the stairs and I'm winded. So
the thing is, in terms of bike rides, these are still relatively short because I see some of my friends that are doing 50-mile and 60 and 100-mile bike rides. But I'm going to, in my defense as a cyclist, actually, most of the rides that I'm doing, half of them, well, I say half of them, half of the ride very often, this week it wasn't half, it was probably about a third, is off-road. Now, I took a picture and actually posted that. In fact, I posted the video. Yeah. So I actually posted the video, which is about 10 minutes long, but I zoomed it, I speeded it up, and it was only part of the video.
I was going to say, 40 miles in 10 minutes? Holy crap.
I should be
You were flying. And there's Wolf going, I'm not going out on that.
Yeah, not again. No.
Not me.
Not me.
I'm a little dog.
Yeah, I've got little legs. Now, I'm not going to be getting longer and longer bike rides. I think in terms of distances, that's probably about it. But I will keep doing them. But I am looking for routes with an off-road bit. The problem with this week was I was expecting the off-road bit to be drier than it actually was. but I still had to ride through quite a lot of deep mud. And there was a section on this route that I did which had lots of grooves in it. I don't know if vehicles had gone up and down and they hadn't used the same track. And the problem is they got really deep. So you know, when I was pedaling, the pedals were hitting the tops of so I had to stay out of the grooves, and it was almost impossible. Anyway, I enjoyed it. It was good. I recorded it. I put it actually on Face Twat, or Twat Face, as people like to call it. It's about 10 minutes long. And there was a few pictures in there of a couple of churches.
Yeah. But it sounds like your bike rides are becoming a bit of a rut.
Ah, very good. I like what you've done there. As it's Easter, so I obviously put those videos together on MyMac. I'm posting on Facebook or Twatface. But as it's Easter, holidays over here, Mrs. G is on holiday, so little else has been done on MyMac. I did dismantle the speakers. The issue that I was having last week. How much? I don't remember how much of that I put in the after show, but why don't you give us a brief rundown? So right at the end of the last week's show, I started getting a buzzing in my ear through my headset,
and it wasn't me this time.
And it wasn't Guy. I kind of knew it wasn't Guy because he would have heard it, and also it wasn't showing up anywhere else. So I was thinking it's definitely something to do with my speakers. And I found out that it was something to do with my speakers. I thought they'd gone kaput. So I took and basically I got a left and a right speakers. They're an old set of a Yamaha, and they used to have a subwoofer, but I'd taken the subwoofer out because I didn't really use it. And it was just a big box sitting there gathering dust. So I'd taken that out of the process. But anyway, the input seemed to be buzzing, and it seemed to have gone. So I took them all away. There was a connection between my right speaker, which had the power into it, and then there was an in-out to the left speaker. Took it all apart. I put it actually behind me. So at this moment for you on the podcast, I'm actually turning around slightly, looking at the floor. I set them.
Yeah, up for all the 3 people that watch the video part of this podcast.
Yeah. See, so you should go and watch the video because then you'll see me pointing behind me. I don't know if that's
action.
Really action. Yeah. But basically, I then took an old. For the people on the YouTube, I then took this little beastie.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Old iPod Nano.
Yeah, and
that's a 3rd gen, I think, isn't it?
And I think it's 4th gen. I think it's the 4th gen.
See, this is the one I have.
Yeah, I think this is a 4th.
Same
gen.
one.
Yeah, same one. I think it's 4th. Anyway, it got some music on it, and I plugged it into because Guy, I'll tell you what I was struggling to find. I was struggling to find a device, one of my modern devices, with a little 3.5 mil socket on it. But that does. So I plugged it into the back of the speaker. It was fine. It was absolutely fine.
So it was something else then.
So I don't quite know what it is. So I was going to set it up before today, but we've been doing other stuff. And replug it in to see whether it's just the location of where it's sitting. Now I am going to be putting some more shelves up here, so I may move them into a different position in the room. But anyway, that's where we are with the speakers. They are still here. They're old Yamaha speakers, and they've worked a treat. I've had them. I think I mentioned last week to you that I've had them 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So sorry.
It's like those old baby Bose that I've got from like the 80s.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you what they look like. These are quite tall, so I'm not going to get up and bring them along.
Take them on holiday.
Yeah. Anyway, do you know what? I think it's time for Gaz's Snippets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Apparently, Tim Cook says he probably, air quotes, probably won't be at Apple in 10 years' time.
God, why would he be? And it's not that he's not doing a great job, mostly,
not.
But
mostly clean.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is what? He's older than I am, I think.
Yeah, I think he's in his 60s.
He's like in his 60s. So, at what point have you accomplished enough? What point do you have enough money to where you're kind of like?
Yeah, I don't think money is the issue, is it? Really?
No, I don't think it is.
When you get to that level,
it's got to be more.
It's about life fulfillment, isn't it? In its entirety. I mean, for us, it's life fulfillment. To be honest with you,
what, this podcast? That's we set our bar so low.
But no, at that point, it's not about money. Definitely not. About. But I mean, yeah, he probably won't be at Apple, or if he's not at the top step at Apple, he may still have something to do with them. You don't know, but no, I don't think he will be there. So
no,
not really a surprise. What will now be in full conjecture from all of the analysts is who's going to take.
Imagine me still doing this podcast 10 years from now. I'll be 70 years old.
Oh, guy. Hey. Do you remember when we said Tim wouldn't be there anymore?
He's still there and I'm bouncing into walls.
Pardon?
What?
Anyway, he won't be there in 10 years' time. Probably. It's a bit like Carlsberg, actually.
The caverns?
No.
They'll be there 10 years from now.
The lager, Carlsberg.
Lager.
The best lager in the world. Probably.
Yeah, except for all the other ones.
No, that was their. Did you not have that advertising campaign?
No.
So I know it is in UK or in Europe, but Carlsberg Beer did a complete advertising campaign around the fact that they were the best lager in the world. Probably.
Yeah, we had Mickey's round mouth beer.
Will you let me finish?
Well, I got to tell you this. This is important. Mickey's round mouth beer, the best beer in the world if you've never drank anything else.
No, succinct, you see. Probably. Yours goes on. Probably. But then they'd do, if Carlsberg did chocolate, it would be the best chocolate in the world. Probably. And there was a whole advertising campaign. I quite enjoyed that campaign. Anyway, these are snippets, and this one's been too big.
Way too long.
AR is critically, again, air quotes on critically, important for Apple's future, says Tim Cook.
See if he still feels that way in 10 years.
The thing is, Tim, you've kind of been saying this for quite a long time now. This is from an interview, I think, with Karen Switcher. I think it's Karen. Is it Karen Switcher? He did an interview anyway, and I think he's been saying that's why we've got lots of quotes from Tim Cook. But on this one, I put this one in because I think he's been saying it for a little now, and personally, I think they're going to have to start delivering soon.
Yeah.
Digital taxes of $1 billion could provoke a trade war between the US and UK.
USA! America!
I think this is now. I think Biden is actually looking to put some sort of tax agreement in place with lots of countries. Whether it will get through in the States is very doubtful, but I think this is going to be a contentious issue moving forward for many countries around the world. So we won't go into it too deep here, but I think it's about the amount of profit because of sales being made in other countries. So we'll wait and see where that goes. But I think that could well be something which we hear about.
This could very well have something to do with what we'll talk about in the next section as well.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Cool. Strong demand for iPhone 12 sees Foxconn revenue jump. Now, I've got another piece about that further on, so I'll leave what I was going to say about that just for now. Apple TV Plus. Let me just make sure. No, actually, no. I'm going to say it now because I thought there was another number there. So the strong demand for iPhone sees Foxconn revenue jump 44%. That's their revenue.
Hopefully, they can keep getting the chips they need because that's becoming an issue.
I'm more thinking along the lines of their revenue jumped 44% on the strong. That is a lot of dependence on one company. I've been there with another company, and I tell you what, that interdependency can sometimes
come back and bite you right in the ass. Absolutely.
Apple TV Plus original Mythic Quest bonus episode coming ahead of the season 2 premiere. Now, no, I watched a few of these and I didn't get into it, but I think you got into it as a comedy.
No.
So you didn't?
No, I watched it as well. And for the most part, there were a couple parts that I kind of chuckled at. But for the most part, it was like, these people are just so awful. It was like watching Seinfeld all over again.
Okay.
That was another, and there are people who love Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, looked at Seinfeld and said, these 4 people are assholes.
Okay. Well, let's not, get all the Seinfeld lovers hating us out there.
Well, why we got everybody else going? So
I suppose, yeah. Let's go for the full pack.
Sure.
Anyway, I've heard a lot of people actually quite like it. I, like you, never really got into it. I might give it another go because I have, and see how I get on. But I didn't like it particularly anyway. 39,000 iPads roll out to students and teachers in Edinburgh, Scotland.
How'd they get them to roll?
Well, they put them in a basket.
Okay, good.
Every school pupil from P6 to S6 in Scotland's capital city will receive their own iPad as part of an ambitious education program. There you go. Well done, Apple, for securing that little beauty. That's all I can say. Apple's patent reveals a new system for predicting when your iPhone will run out of battery. Now, I'd like to know if they could actually produce some sort of patent that could predict when I'm going to be near a charger so that I can charge it up so that I don't have to run out of battery. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
iOS 14 adoption surpasses 90% according to Mixpanel.
Better than anything in the industry. Any industry.
Absolutely.
Actually, that's going to partially come into play in the next part too. Go ahead.
You see, I just tie up with your pieces so well. The problem with Jon Stewart, this is coming to Apple TV Plus this fall. That's a TV program, I believe, or a comedy.
Yeah. Well, it's Jon Stewart, so it might not be all that funny.
I don't know who Jon Stewart is, so I can't really comment on it. Nearly 9 in 10. Go on. I
was going to say he's a talk show comedian who really thinks he's funny.
Okay. It's Jon Stewart. He's not the guy, because there used to be 2 comedians over here, and a guy went over and became an American
political
citizen.
He's a political guy.
Yeah, but I didn't think his name was Jon Stewart. It's someone, and it'll come to me. Nearly 9 in 10 US teens, 9 out of 10 US teens. Now it says nearly 9 in 10. So does that mean 8.5?
Yeah, there are some teams walking around going, "Where's my arm? I don't know where my other arm is."
Well, nearly 9 out of 10 US teens own an Apple iPhone.
Good for them.
I don't.
Good for their parents.
Yeah, iPhone 12 holds its value over 20% better than Samsung Galaxy S21.
The part that surprises me about this is that it's only 20%.
Well,
it probably should be a lot more than that.
Well, the S21 is the most recent one, isn't it?
Yeah, my point still stands.
Well, yeah, but my point is that they've not been out long enough for them to drop that much, but they soon will. Intel ad for the world's best processor actually features a MacBook Pro. We're going into the seedy Apple bit now, Guy. Seedy Apple. The seedy Apple have seeded the 7th beta of tvOS 14.5 to developers. The seedy Apple has seeded the 7th beta of watchOS 7.4 to developers. Seedy Apple has seeded the 7th beta of iOS 14.5 and iPadOS 14.5 to developers. Watch your updates because they'll be flowing out.
Yeah, there's a new one for the Mac OS too.
Within the next few weeks.
Beta 7, I think.
Yeah, I saw that, and I don't know why I didn't put that in. Apple announces Find My Network with support for third-party devices. Didn't look into that too much.
Yeah, it was like, you don't know where your network is? Did you get out of bed one morning and go, where's my network? It's gone.
It says an upgrade to Apple's Find My app has added support for devices from third-party manufacturers, including gadget tracking startup Chipolo, Belkin, and niche Dutch bike maker Van Moof. There you go.
Oh, Van Moof.
Right. Yeah. Moof. Merca. Work continues on Apple's second Berlin store in the eastern part of the German capital.
It's very, very disciplined.
I'm saying nothing. Apple extends Find, but I don't know what that accent was. Apple extends Find My support to third-party vendors, including Belking. Oh, I've just said that.
Yeah,
I've just said that. Let me get rid of that.
Bye.
I missed that, didn't I? Bye. It's gone. Apple reveals line of attack in App Store trial against Epic. Now, what this was saying was, I thought I was going to actually. I've lost my way. Where is it? What? Woohoo! Apple plans to argue at a trial that developers and consumers will suffer if Epic Games succeeds in upending how the iPhone maker's app marketplace is run. Apple has presented a California federal judge on Thursday with a roadmap of how it will push back against Epic in a high-stakes antitrust fight. There you go. Watch out.
And then they're not entirely wrong, because if you have to open up the App Store, or if you have to open up alternate app stores to the iPhone, then that's just going to make things like it is in Android, which is a security nightmare. Apple can't guarantee that your phone is going to be secure if they can't figure out what it is you're putting on that phone.
Gaz's snippets. Apple rolling out. I hadn't finished. I was just trying to move you on, you see.
Good luck.
Good luck with that, Gaz. Apple rolling out tags in App Store to help refine popular search results. Well, do something, Apple, because your search results are generally pretty poor. And they always have been. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
Apple picks up The Crowded Room, starring Tom Holland, for their Apple TV Plus. Apple TV app currently has misleading pricing for movies. Have you seen
what does that mean?
Well, it says the TV app available on the iPhone, iPad, and Mac has an issue with inaccurate price listings for some titles. This comes from Mac Rumors. A Mac Rumor reader discovered this morning. The movies section of the TV app has a browse by price section that lists movies for $4.99, $6.99, $7.99, and $9.99 respectively. But many of the movies available in those sections are more expensive. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, I don't see that. I'm looking.
Okay. Apple's Eddie Q reportedly advising Tom Brady's new NFT company. I put that in specially for you.
Brady.
Is that the Brady Bunch? Apple shells out $3.4 million to Chileans to settle a planned obsolescence lawsuit. $3.4 million.
Like peanuts.
That's like, yeah.
Basically, the Chilean lawyers got bulk into that.
Absolutely.
Or the government.
Security researcher. Hang on, I'm hearing some odd noises. Security researcher earns $100,000 for Safari exploit in a pwn-to-own hacking contest. This is the normal yearly one, I think. There's a pwn-to-own competition. And basically this guy obviously found a problem which will probably already have been sorted out. It was a 0-day exploit. And I think it's probably been fixed in Apple's.
Well, it certainly will be when they roll out the next iOS version.
Well, yeah.
Full version. I mean, I just heard that too. It's like somebody's throwing things at your door.
Don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's Wilf isn't happy that you have the door closed because your wife isn't here.
Must be the ghosts. Apple expands in-app enrollment in the app developer program to more regions. I thought it was already rolled out. The reason I put this in was I thought it had already been rolled out to all regions.
Yeah, I did too.
Apparently it's rolling out to even more regions. Apple's rationale for not bringing iMessage to Android revealed in legal documents. Now, I'm not going to go into this.
More to come.
There's more to come. Oh, good. It just links in so well. I don't know. It's like we actually talk. Apple Music TV.
It should scare you more than it does me.
It does scare me a lot, actually. Apple Music TV, I'll get that bit right, expands to the UK and Canada. Not for me. Not for me. Have you watched this?
Apple Music? No, I haven't.
Apple Music TV. No, it's
I did that in
like
the 80s for a while.
Like
it's kind of like
yeah.
There's a reason why MTV has switched to almost all weird real life teenage documentaries.
I wonder. Is Apple stock ready to resume hitting new time highs? Well, if they do, then I'm going to start obviously reporting it here. Apple wants to draw subscribers to Apple TV Plus with more feature films, and so they need to, says me. Oh, I thought you was going to say something.
No, I'm good.
Epic versus Apple case on pause in Australia as the focus shifts to the US trial for now. Now, that's not because Apple actually can only afford to concentrate on
one case at a time. It's like, yeah, no, we're going to have to put that off.
Yeah.
Is that all right with you, Australia? Yeah, we'll get around to you.
Well, I kind of think that maybe Epic could struggle here as well on that one.
They're struggling.
Yeah, Apple have backed a Chinese ride service, Apple backed a Chinese ride service, Didi Chuxing, files privately for IPO with 100 billion valuation. So basically, they've backed a ride service now
in China. Where was the IPO though?
Well, it would have been in China.
I would hope so.
I can't confirm that absolutely, but I would say it was in China. Now, what have I been saying all along, Guy? Apple will do a car as a service.
Oh,
I'm still sticking to it. US senators urge Apple to reconsider decision not to testify in the upcoming App Store hearing.
More later.
Bit of shenanigans going on, but more later, apparently. And finally, it's not on here, but actually...
Oh, you've got another.
No. Yeah, I think that was a double pace. So yeah, I'm not worried about that. Okay, and that is Gaz's snippets. I've got Gaz's link.
Tell me.
Now, I wanted to speak to you about this actually because I came across this and I thought I'm just going to have a look at some of these games in this this particular link. And I didn't recognize any of these top 25 games. So basically, I saw a link which says Apple's Arcade ranked top 25. So this is from 148 apps. And I just went through. So these are the this is someone who's reported on 148 apps. And he's basically said that he wants to rank every Apple Arcade game there is. And he's basically gone them in the top 25. And in the top 25, I scrolled through them. I thought, didn't know that. I haven't seen that. No, didn't know that. So I've put the link into Gaz's link. We'll put it into the links so you can see it on the show notes. But if you want to just peruse through these particular Apple Arcade games, and there's comments against them, the rank explanation, and you can take a decision from there. But I'm not yet using Apple Arcade. I know a number of you are. You contact us and tell us what your ranking arcade games are. I know that.
Yeah, I use Arcade.
Yeah, I know you do. So
I don't know any of these games.
No, that's what threw me because I'm not an arcade user, but I've gone through occasionally to have a look. But I didn't recognize any of these. So
I know Carl was talking about, I think, Sping.
Okay. Anyway, contact us and tell us what your favorite Apple Arcade game is. And that's the end of Gaz's links.
Dancing.
The
song's over.
It's over. Yeah.
So you want to get us out of here, Gaz?
Everybody. And R.I.P. Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, and
I forgot about that.
Don't worry about it.
Very sad.
Yeah, very sad. Stand by. Well, he was 99, so he's had a good innings. Good old boy. Stand by. I'll do it. I'll do it like this. Stand by. To stand by. And we'll be right back.
And welcome everyone to the second part two. I don't know why I say it like that, of the MyMac.com podcast. And as we alluded to when we were going through some of Gaz's snippets, we've got something to talk about this week that is actually kind of relevant and cognizant of what's going on right now. Holy crap, Gaz.
What?
No fooling.
I know. I'm stunned. One of the things I know,
you want to be in my shoes,
and because this is kind of complicated, this is part of the reason why I was panicking so much when all these notes disappeared, because I was kind of like, I'll never be able to recreate that again. Something that Gaz was talking about is that Apple recently declined to testify in front of a U.S. Senate committee. With a little more than 2 weeks before that committee was due to proceed, and they didn't offer much in the way of an explanation. Needless to say, whoever it was that's in charge of that committee was going, I would suggest quite strongly that Apple reconsider. It's like, oh, shut up. What are you going to do? You know, none of these companies have to show up and do your little dog and pony show. Now, the Senate committee, or this Senate committee, was due to hold hearings into competition in app stores and was focusing on the fees charged, specifically the 30% that Apple and Google require for many of the paid applications. Another part being debated is the cost of switching platforms, especially concerning apps and in-app purchases, which is more on Apple than Google, since there's only one app store for iOS compared to the many that are available for Android. And when I say that, it's like that is also dependent upon the phone and services provided with that phone and the cell service that you have contracted with. The types of stores that you have available are dependent upon all of those things. It's not just a matter of saying, I have a phone running Android, so I have the Google App Store. Well, that doesn't necessarily hold true in every single case. Now, again, the point of this segment isn't to get you to switch from an iPhone to Android. But
heaven forbid.
Yeah, heaven forbid. But to blow the smoke away, mostly from people who claim that iOS locks you into Apple. And they're not entirely wrong, but there's certainly it's certainly a misleading statement to just make a blanket statement like that, Gaz.
Well, misleading statements from out in the world concerning Apple.
Yeah, I know. You know, it's almost like they're all analysts
Who'd have funked
trying to get page hits by saying something bad about a popular company. Huh. Who knew? Now, as far as, you know, real quick, getting into the thing with the U.S. Senate, there really is no need. If Apple doesn't want to, they don't have to show up. And I get the feeling that this is more of a ploy on the part of Apple to kind of at the last minute say, well, okay, we'll bring someone in, but he's only going to talk about A, B, and C. So this seems to be more of a negotiation ploy on the part of Apple than anything having to do with them not wanting to testify in front of the U.S. Senate. But again, they don't have to if they don't want to.
No.
Now, for the rest of it, really, when you look into it, there's really not that much cost involved in switching between the two platforms. And a lot of it depends on the phone you choose, as I said before. And it may even provide some of the tools needed for you to make the switch. Now, for some of the basic things, calendars, contacts, and photos can be moved simply by downloading the Google Drive app onto your iPhone and then backing up all of your data to that account, to that Google Drive account. And when you get to your Android phone, sign into that same account and all of that information should be there. And it's mostly the same with email, especially if you use mostly Google accounts, which I do. I have a Verizon account, which I probably shouldn't have said that, but I have a Verizon account. And the weird thing about Verizon, they're now using, of all things, AOL Mail to keep track. Yeah, I know. That's when I got the word that at Verizon, well, we're going to start using AOL Mail to manage all of our email. I was kind of like, isn't that like Smart Cars saying that they're going to use Kenworth trucks as their distribution point from now on?
Well, there you go.
Yeah, because it's the same thing. They both have a number of wheels and an engine. So, exactly the same.
Exactly.
So, but if you're already in the Google camp for email, and, depending on your view on privacy and all the rest of that, as long as you go into these services with your eyes open and you understand what it is that they're getting in return for free services, and that honestly, it doesn't really mean that much. Just go ahead and use it. So if you sign into all your Google accounts, things like calendars, contacts, photos, and email should all be there. Now, as far as other kinds of data, if you're using iCloud for your documents, it's also easy to move them into Dropbox or Google Drive or Box or Microsoft OneDrive or whatever online service you want to use instead. Just open them both in the Finder, select all the folders that's in your iCloud account, and drag and drop them into the other one. And within a relative short amount of time, they'll all be there.
Backup.
What were you gonna say, Gaz?
Backup. Just make sure you got a backup before you do anything.
Oh, yeah. Very, very important. And not just backed up to iCloud and not just backed up to your Mac, but on a third device, whether it's in your home or not as well. Always have at least 3 copies, 2 of which you can't just lay your hands on at any given time. That's how that works. Now, music is also very simple if you use Apple's Music as a streaming or collection service, because the Apple Music app is also available on Android. So sign in and you're good to go. The 2 big snags, Gaz, there's 2 of them.
2 snags? Is that all?
Big snags.
Are you sure there's only 2?
They're big. They're really, really big.
Oh, okay.
The first one is messages. Now, messages is one of those services.
We don't need no stinking messages.
Messages that is what people claim is one of the things that lock you into iOS. And this is the part where they're not necessarily wrong, because it's not a question of, because basically with text messaging, you're providing a telephone number to whatever the messaging service is, and that telephone number is where messages are sent.
Yeah.
Where it gets tricky when moving from phone to phone or operating system to operating system is what happens to those old messages. If you want those old messages, then it's a problem. If you just want to move your telephone number from an Apple Message account to some other type of account, that's not that big of a deal. It's getting those old messages that's the problem. And there are apps to get and backups to do and transfers to make. Oh my. So you should probably give it some thought. It would frankly be easier just to start over with an Android messaging app. But if you must absolutely have those old messages, then you've got some work to do. One minus point for Apple there. But part of the trade-off.
But I think that's always been a problem.
It has been.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is just Apple. If you I mean, yes, if you probably were using some sort of messaging process and went from Google to Apple, it wouldn't be such a problem. It's the iMessage messages which are the problem here. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why when you get an iMessage from one of your Apple owning phone buddies, it's blue.
Yeah.
But if it comes from outside of iMessage, it's green. So that's how you can tell who has an iPhone and who doesn't have an iPhone. But to get all that stuff is a problem. And if you just start over, and for some people you'll have messages on there from loved ones who are gone, or things along the lines of pictures and photos from people that you can't reproduce. It's like, well, then before you do any of this, go back, get those attachments and save them someplace other than in your message app.
Yep.
And same thing with the messages. You can take screenshots. You can take, you should be able to download the actual messages themselves. And again, you'll have to find an app to do so.
Well,
go ahead.
It all depends. I mean, if you've got images, then obviously Apple often there are the processes that actually allow you to download each of those images
into photos, right?
Straight into photos, and then it's obviously how do you get your photos out? Because I think that's another biggie. Which
photos is actually
there you go. Then photos is quite easy. So the problem is just making sure you pick them up. I mean, there are a number of applications that allow you to get it download, but I think the biggest thing that Guy is making quite clear here is don't just jump. There are processes and many processes you just got to think about if there are certain things that you want to keep forever. To be honest with you, when was the last time you looked through an old message that was more than 3 or 4 weeks old?
Or days?
Well,
and if it's from people that are no longer with you, or that you can't recreate, or could even, in some cases, you may be required by law to keep those old messages as part of a chain of evidence or what have you, then it's up to you to make sure that those are still available to you and to do some research to figure out how to do that. The other thing, and we were just talking about photos, and I almost forgot about this. You'll basically need to export your iPhoto library, or your iPhoto. Oh my God, your photos library to a different location, and then import those into another service, whether it's Google Photos or Dropbox or what have you. The last problem. Before we get off this, the last thing you should do. This is very important.
One more thing.
Make sure you deregister your phone and iMessage with Apple, or you may not get all of the messages that get sent to you in the future. And I think we had talked, or not we, but you'd had some stories in Gaz's snippets about this, about people not getting all of their messages. And that's part of the reason why, because if you're on an Android phone, you don't have access to the iMessage app. So if people are sending you messages through the iMessage app, you're not going to see them. So you need to deregister your phone and that telephone number from iMessage so that you'll get all of your messages from other people. Okay, the last bit, and this can also be a problem, is applications. Apps will not transfer between these two operating systems pretty much no matter what. And you'll need to download them all again on your Android phone through whatever app stores that you decide to use. Also, most paid apps and in-app purchases will likely need to be repurchased as well. A few that use a sign-in procedure when opened on a unfamiliar device will probably be okay, but there's no guarantees. Just make sure you use the same account name and password that you did with your iPhone. But yeah, any money that you have spent on applications through the iOS App Store, you should probably not count on having those same applications in Android, even if they're available for the Android OS as compared to being in iOS.
Lost. So here's a question for you then, which you may not be able to answer. What about my backup data for a position I might be in a game. Gone?
That's going to be gone. Unless that data is being backed up through the developer. But for the most part, a lot of developers just use, what's that called? Game Center.
Yeah.
For Apple. And actually, there's one thing here I meant to put in but forgot, and that's iCloud passwords. If you use iCloud as your password manager, and a lot of people do, and it's not a bad, I typically use Chrome for my browser of choice.
Yeah, I don't, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. And for the most part, iCloud passwords doesn't work with that because I pretty much choose to not use it with that. So I use one. I have both iCloud passwords, or all my passwords kept in iCloud, and I also have them through 1Password. So I basically use 1Password for all of my accounts I need to go into in Chrome, but I use iCloud passwords for everything in Safari. And if you want to hold on to all of those passwords, or you're not sure if you'll be able to recreate all those passwords, you can go into Keychain on your Mac, assuming that you're on a Mac, and export all of those passwords. The procedure for doing so, I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, but it is possible to do so. And you'll get something that kind of looks like an Excel spreadsheet with some data on it that may or may not match up with what you expect to see, but you should be able to match those passwords up with your online accounts so that you'll have access to them as well. And then you'll just have to figure out how to import those into some other password manager.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not easy. And the thing is, it's not just going from iOS to Android. It's also going from Android to iOS, or even for that matter, going from a Mac to a PC and a PC to a Mac. These are different operating systems. And to pretend that a single device manufacturer like Apple will have a way to export all of your data into the myriad of different versions of Android and the different versions of Windows and the different versions of operating system XYZ, you can't really expect them to be able to do that. There are ways that you can make it easier on yourself, but you're going to have to be the one that does most of the heavy lifting. Apple can't do it for you. Microsoft can't do it for you. Google can't do it for you. You need to keep track of your data and figure out how it is that you want to manage it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a matter of them tying you in, though it is.
No.
It's
there are things
the more you spend and the more you dive into the ecosphere, the more of whatever OS, the more you are tying yourself into that ecosphere. So just be aware of that.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people say, well, that's why I use Google. And that's where Google get a lot of their kickback into, because they're transferable in a lot of their applications being online. Yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, that actually creates a problem in so much as, my thoughts on Google. I think yours is similar as well in terms of the amount of data they've got on people and that they can utilize. Yes.
Well, it's not just that. It's also security in general.
Well, it is. Yes, absolutely. And yes, it's free, but actually, aren't you worth a little bit more than that? That's all I'm going to say. Just think how much worth you are. But anyway, that's by the by. But the more you entrench yourself in those ecosphere, the more it will be a problem to get out of it. But that's particularly why I've chosen this particular ecosphere, because I trust it. I'm happy with it, and it works, as we saw today, even with iCloud on Pages.
Yeah, and one last point before we go. Switching from an iPhone 8, which is what I had, to an iPhone SE, I put the two phones together, it syncs everything up, and when it's done, it's like I was using that iPhone SE for all of my life. To switch from one Android phone to another Android phone, unless it's all tied into Google services, is not as easy as that, especially if you're talking about different manufacturers, different versions of the OS, and different versions of the App Store.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do? It's your.
Let us know, folks. Let us know your experiences. Have you tried to flip backwards and forwards? If you have, give us a shout. And
and if there's anything I don't have right, let me know.
The list is too long, Guy.
Well, start small and work your way up. Would you agree with that, Gaz?
I'm nodding my head. Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip. Ips, plural. This is mostly Mac. This is actually 3 tips on the Mac. Some are being revisited. I wanted to revisit them because I've moved several OSs since I probably gave them last time. The first one, this is a beauty if you want to adjust the volume and or the brightness of your Mac incrementally smaller than the big block that you normally get. So if you click Shift Option and then the volume or the brightness key, Shift Option, brightness or volume key, you will see that your little adjustment that comes up increases in increments of quarters rather than a full block. So you can increase the sound or increase the brightness of your screen ever so slightly. Shift Option and then obviously either your brightness or your volume key. And that goes
not going to do that while we're recording.
No. Okay. Control, Command, and Space. So if you're typing, and I'm just going to check this actually in Pages to see if it actually works in Pages. It does. So this actually brings the emoji search palette up. What's the emoji search palette? Well, if you hit Control, Command, and Space, you will find that you'll get a search box for emojis only. So then in that search box, you type happy, smiley, beer, celebration, and then you get all emojis which are related to that particular search option. Control, Command, Space. If you are typing a word and you want to check the spelling as you go along, if you press F5 as you are typing, a selection of words using those first number of letters that you've used will then appear below that word. So if you know the first starting of a spelling, because sometimes autospell gives you something odd. I like that Apple guy. Yes, I can see the apple. So basically F5, as you're typing, if you think, you spell necessary with how many S's and C's? Type in NEC, and then F5, and it'll tell you don't spell it like that at all.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and it's PH for all of the silent Fs.
Absolutely. And this isn't a spell check. It's to say what words are available with the letters that you've currently typed, just to get clear on that. And I'm nodding my head.
Ooh.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
You have failed me for the last time.
Where'd that come from?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's so confusing. You already. I'm looking at the links here, and it's like, you've already got that there.
Yeah.
Let's see if you would please go on over to the podcatcher of your choice.
Pick sake, and I've
you do,
and I've put Pages in the cloud because it worked for us.
I'll shut up now.
I put Pages in the cloud because I'll tell you what, since we've switched to Pages for the last, I would say probably 8 months or possibly even a year, Guy, if I'm honest, possibly even longer, we've not really had any problems. And even though we had an issue today, we recovered from it. So actually iCloud and Pages in the cloud in particular, and I'm now using Numbers in the cloud as well, it's working great for me. So that's my pick's sake. For pick's sake, people, if you've got access, use it.
Yeah, Pages, and I don't know if we talk about it in the show, but we have used a variety of different sharing services.
Yes, we have.
Each one has failed in one form or another. but we recovered from this one, so we're still happy with it.
We are.
If you would please, if you get the chance, we don't talk about this often. Please do a review of the show. Let us know that you've done a review of the show and where we can find it. And
Makes us happy.
It does. It really, really does. And you won't have to listen to the sad Hulk music with that off-key piano beat. Where'd that come from? I don't know.
I do.
Well, probably a lot of people do. And it's not like we're saying do this and get nothing in return, because what you will get back, I can't even describe.
It's
the joy that you will feel. It is.
Yeah.
When you see what this is and what you get back, and it is called, Gaz, it's called a Woo tea. And
that's like big. That it's magic to my ears. Woo.
It is. And do you know how to spell Woody?
I don't. Tell me.
Oh, it's big W, big O, big T, little I, little E, exclamation mark. That spells Woody.
Oh, that's new. I've never heard you say the exclamation.
I know it's like, well, I gotta like mix it up every once in a while. Okay. Well, actually, we do have some feedback, don't we?
We do actually. Yes. Yeah. We got. I got an email. Actually, Guy wasn't on this, and I don't know whether. So Nick, I hope you don't mind, but this comes from a good friend, Nick, and he's basically said, "I've just finished listening to your question and answer session with Guy in MyMac 843. I thoroughly enjoyed it. One of the reasons I particularly enjoyed about it was Guy's different point of view. That is, I disagreed with almost everything he said."
As did probably 3/4 of our audience.
So that has led us on to a conversation that Guy and I had a little while ago. We may actually be seeing those different perspectives next week, because actually Guy might not be here next week.
No, I definitely won't be here next week.
He definitely won't be here.
Yeah, so, I'll be down in NC, North Carolina.
Okay. You see, us Brits, NC.
Yeah, no cost.
North Coast.
Yeah, no cost. North Coast. NC squared.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks very much, Nick, and I might be speaking to you soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, actually, I don't want to. We can go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. You're going to try to get him on for next week.
I am. Yeah, I'm going to try and get him on for next week, and we'll see. If
it'll be a guyless show next week. Guyless. So quality should go way up.
No.
So the other thing is, especially since I won't be on next week, if you'd like to help support the show without me, go to patreon.com/Macparrot or copy ko-fi.com/Macparrot, or pay a pal by going over to paypal.me/Macparrot. These are all the various things that you can do to help support the show and to make sure that I have fresh microphones for each and every week, because these things matter. Gaz, if people wanted to get a hold of you and say, why don't you have Nick on every week, how would they do so?
Send an email to gaz@mymac.com, G-A-Z.
Cars.
@mymac.com. Or on the Twitters, twitter.com/Gazmas, G-A-Z.
Cars.
M-A-Z.
Cars.
You can also contact Guy and Gaz on the Twitters, twitter.com/Guy and Gaz, G-U-Y.
What?
A-N-D. G-A-Z.
Cars. Wouldn't that be Nickandgaz?
Don't confuse the listeners.
Well, too late. I'm already confused.
Okay, you can also send an email to feedback@mymac.com. That's FEEDBACK at mymac.com. Okay, now why shouldn't we
pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain?
Why shouldn't we? Because
Guy says.
What does Guy say?
Guy was paid his 75 grand.
I never said that.
No, I don't think he does. But are we sure?
Do we know it was a guy?
Well,
I like to go with Guy.
I like to go with Guy as well. So that's very true. Because Guy never.
Wait, hold on. I screwed up.
Okay, well, maybe occasionally.
His name was Guy.
It is.
No fooling.
Yeah, he doesn't ever because
He's the guy.
yeah, absolutely.
Guy.
Yeah,
Guy.
yeah. What about him?
You remember Guy?
Yes, because
Guy's the one.
how would they contact you and get
An email from Guy.
I knew we'd get there in the end. All you have to do, go to the email client of your choice and type in Guy. William Shatner voice at mymac.com to send me an email. You can also reach me on the Twitters. I am Macparrot and Vert Shark over there on the Twitters. Vert Shark is the website to see most of the audios and videos that I do. You
Could
go
you
on
hear
over
that?
to.
Could you
Yes,
hear
I did.
that? Oh,
I did.
okay.
Bum, bum, bum. That's all we can play, though.
Yeah.
You can also go on over to YouTube, type in Vert Shark, and find the playlist that has all of that stuff over there. Besides doing, of course, the MyMac.com podcast here, I also do Guy's Daily Drive on an infrequent basis where I drive in my car and say stuff onto face twat or whatever you call that over there, Gaz.
Twat.
Yeah. And also on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Mac to the Future live podcast with Warren Sklar and David Ginsburg. And, on more than probably a couple of months now, I've also been doing Chuck Joyner's Tuesday night Mac Voices Gab with like 7 to 9 other people. And it's great. Somehow having that many people there keeps me in check, and I keep the insanity down to a minimum level. So low insanity levels. You can also contact us, Gaz, we have a Skype number. We've only been talking about this for 10 years, and so few people call it. Call the number. Call it. And I'm going to tell you what that number is. Get a pen and pencil right now. Not you, Gaz, but everybody else. Pen and pencil.
Pen and pencil.
Even if you're driving. No, don't do it if you're driving.
Okay, if I'm going to get a pen and pencil, what am I going to use to write on?
Your table. I don't know. It's whatever you've got handy. You can, get a pen and write it in blood.
Okay.
You can do that too. I don't recommend it, but you could. That Skype number, Gaz, is 1 or +1 outside the United States, 703-436-9501. That number again is 1 or +1, 703-436-9501. And if you don't want to dial a 1 or a +1, go right to that Skype application and just dial 703-436-9501. And notice I have to tilt my head when I go because that's exactly how that works. So thank you. Thanks to every single one of you who have downloaded, watched, and or probably listened to the MyMac.com podcast. But remember, you can go over to YouTube, Vert Shark, and watch it a few days afterwards. But we say thank you to all of you. We really appreciate the fact that you have downloaded and or consumed, however you've done it, the MyMac.com pod. I know, but I'm saying it again because it's so important. And Gaz, I think, especially this week with all of our pages shenanigans, that we are good enough, and
we are
that not so much us, but Apple was smart enough,
to
put in revisions, and that Wilf Garnet, Wolf, people like us.
Assidu a un téléphone Android depuis un iPhone 6 gomme passé d'une whisky single malt refine à une vin de Rubatka fait moisson.
Very good.
Do you know, Guy, you should never use double negatives because it's a big no-no. And it's a big no.
No. I said niet.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home.